Um, Hi, Sharon. Are you translating from Zoom and also live voice?
Yeah, because
Ah,
it's
perfect. Cool. Thank you.
sure,
Then,
sure.
yes, you can continue. Thank you, Sharon. Very
Thank you.
clear. It's perfect. Thank you. I will let you know. Thank you. Thank you.
And is your screen on yet, Brian? Of me?
Yes. Right now I have the.
Okay, whenever just show me and then they'll get started. Marina's doing a dance again. Okay. So next technical problem, Angel, is the microphone's not working. Oh, this is so funny. Okay. Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Um, sorry about the delay. Sorry about the delay. We got it all working here. Do you have everything you need? Okay, all right. So we have a group of people here. I want to show everybody. Here's everyone from Taiwan. Oops, shit. Wrong camera. There we go. Okay. All right, there's everyone from Taiwan. All right. And we've been here all week studying Classics Course 8. And this morning, it was really beautiful. This morning, Taiwan time was really beautiful because we gave Bodhisattva vows as well. You know, there were about 20 or so people who hadn't taken them from the group, and then we offered them as renewal for everybody. It was a beautiful ceremony this morning. It was, I don't know what time it was for most of you, but it was the middle of the night, I think. So it's good to see everyone. I'm really happy to see all of you again. We're now finishing Classics Course 17. All right, don't get so excited. Just looking at your faces, you're like, what? We're now 2/3 of the way through the entire review of all the courses, of all 15 courses. And so today's course, we're going to be reviewing Classics Course 10, which is the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life. And we're going to do as most of these review courses are, it's an entire fire hose of information. And I'm going to do my best to cover most of it. But if I don't get through the material, that's what you'll do in your review groups. So here we go. And so just so everyone knows where my mind is and what we're going to mainly focus on, like we've been talking about this whole week, we've been focusing on all the different realms where you can go after you die, or where you came from, or where you might be going. And we were linking that with the beautiful meditations that we received in Malaysia on investigating the early part of our life, our early part of our life. So the question goes, is that the early part of our life is a reflection of our previous life. That the seeds that we were planting in our previous life are then ripening in the early part of this one. And so we were doing these meditations to use our own logic to figure out what must have been true in the past. All right. But the whole point of doing that, there's 3 points, I guess. One point of doing it is to have an immense amount of gratitude for the person that set you up for this life, right? The fact that you had teachers called your mother and your father, the fact that you had people who took care of you, whether or not you actually like those people, it doesn't matter, right? The whole thing really is what goodness created this life. And then that whole course really is designed, because we actually reviewed it like 2 months ago here in this class. The whole course is designed to describe to you what happens if you don't take care of the leisure and fortune that you have in this life. The great amount of good karma that brought you here, if you don't take care of it, what's next? Like, that's the question. What's next? And so then we were tying those ideas together, which is where I kind of want to lead with the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life tonight, is we're tying these ideas together as how are we then thrusting these into a new kind of worldview, which is the Diamond Way worldview, right? And a lot of us, most of you, I imagine all of you, in 2 months' time, less than 2 months' time, we're going to be receiving that transmission, right? And Anastasia, in the chats, could you share, there was a beautiful class last night my time, the last Mixed Nuts class. There was a beautiful class where Geshe Michael outlined what he's going to be teaching in the Diamond Way. He outlined, this was at 3 a.m. Taiwan time or something like that, right? He outlined all of the text and the sort of the overall arc of study that we're going to take in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Right. And so there's all this preparation we're doing, right? And the whole point of these courses is actually to finish your traditional preparation, right? And then everything Geshe Michael's doing is not traditional after this. So it's gonna be a ride, but we have to keep reminding ourselves of the foundation. Right. And that's why I keep reminding us, what we studied this week. Because without that motivation, right, which is in some way a lower motivation of worrying about your own, how you're going to feel after you die, right? Notice we didn't talk much about others. We talked about ourselves, right? We talked about, where are you going? and why you need to be careful, why you need to really watch the seeds you're planting and take care of this precious life we have. And what's interesting is, I guess it was 2 months ago that we reviewed this course, and then over those 2 months, like my ideas around it and the way that I relate to it changed, right? And then we had the course this week, but where we left off was we were just really thinking about ourselves, right? We didn't, I mean, we mentioned it, tangentially, like we mentioned it a little bit, but we kept asking the question, where did you come from and where are you going? And doing death meditation is the key to keep us motivated, because we don't know, right? We don't know when it's going to happen, right? We taught everyone a mudra here, and I'm going to teach all of you this mudra, all right? There's 2 of them. Emily, you missed it. It was really fun. Emily and Gibson came the first night. It was really wonderful to see them. Okay, everyone get ready. Pick up both your hands. Okay. The first mudra is like this. I want to see everyone do that. Like really get it in there, Okay, right? It's fun, right? Look at, I mean, some of you are smiling. Some of you are thinking I'm ridiculous. Some of you are like, this guy's out of his mind. Most of you did it. All right. And then I hope everyone went through the pictures, because there's one person who has a picture up that looks like them that's not moving. And they didn't do it. But okay, so this was fun, right? What does this mean? This means it is certain that you're going to die. Oh, nice. Nice. Is that Evgeny? Of course it is. No, it's someone else. Nice. All right. It is certain you're going to die. So let's get all excited about it, right? Okay. Right. But the next question is, I don't know. Here's the second mudra. We don't know when, right? And we focused on that because, most of the time we're focused we're focused on ourselves, right? We're worried about our own death. We're worried about our own, how we're going to feel. But of course, the story doesn't stop there, right? And that's where we focused most of this week, was on that part of the story. But the second part of the story is, once you realize, like if you all looked around the room, wait for the translation. Right, there it goes. I just watched Sharon finish, right? And you go, okay, I'm going to die. Yeah. But then you look around the Zoom, you look around at each other, and you realize every single one of you was like, me too. Right? Me too. Right? And then you're just like, oh my gosh, everyone else is doing the same thing. Everyone else, you too, like that's it, right? Each one of you on here is also going to die. And if you take 1 second to think about how much you worry about yourself in your life. Hi. And then you just project that onto everybody else. Because if you do it, everybody else is doing it. I have to tell you all something really funny right now as a little break in talking about like the depressing aspect that we're all gonna die. So Brian's been working really, really hard this whole week. He's in the back still working right now. And he wasn't feeling so well this afternoon. Like he feels like he might be getting sick. And so he asked politely, he's like, hey, can someone get me a face mask? Right? To protect everybody, right? Because he's like, you know, worried about getting people sick. However, everyone else was really confused. And they were like, well, why does Brian need a face mask? And they were like, whatever, we'll just get him what he asked for. They show up at his door and they got him one of those beauty face masks. Oh, look, right. Right. And Brian was like, how is this going to help me? Like, and then he realized like there was a miscommunication. However, that was funny story number one. But funny story number two, and this has to do with death and old age, is there's a store right around the corner that sells specialty face masks. High end, but very, very unique. They're face masks for your butt. I'm serious. Yes, they come in different colors, right? There's a whole store right over here. I'm like, yeah, you understood me correctly, yes. And I'm like, I'm like laughing. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. Like aging, like the worries of the aging of your butt, right? But, it doesn't matter how many face masks or how many butt masks you put on. Somebody here is going to die first, whether in this room or on this Zoom call. If you look around at everybody, somebody will die first. Okay. Like, and you look at people and we say, all the things that we try to do to stay young, healthy, vibrant, supple bosoms, right? Like, you know, it's really funny to me. It's called the peach cup. Is that what it is? Peach up. Yep. Okay. So, you know, we're all trying to we're all trying to stay young, right? We're all trying to live longer. You walk through the mall and you just see all these people who are just trying to stay young and not die, right? And it's hysterical, right? And I made you laugh, right? And because I want you to laugh about it, because every single person is worried about the same thing. And that's why we're studying the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Because once you really internalize that step, that, I'm going to die, right? I did it this morning. I told everyone this morning. I did it this morning in front of the mirror. I'm brushing my teeth. I was like, in the mirror, I'm like, you look so cool, Tim. You're gonna die. Right? Like, and then you go, it's everybody else. Everybody else is gonna do it too. Right? And everybody else is doing it. Some people more, someone created a business around aging buttocks. It happens, everyone, right? Like your buttocks ages, your face ages, your skin ages, gravity takes things downwards, right? So someone here is like, and then we do these things called facelifts, right? But every single one of us is doing that. And when you begin to feel that and start behaving that way, that's what really begins to charge your practice up. Like that's what starts moving everything forward very quickly. Right? When you realize every single person in that mall who's buying a butt mask is just futilely trying to avoid the inevitable. Good luck, translators, with that one. Futilely avoid the inevitable. Okay. And in the seeds that you plant, so the course 7, all about the bodhisattva vows, right? We're just supercharging that renunciation that we have. We have the renunciation of, I'm going to die. When? I don't know, right? And when you ask that question about what's, if I die today, what seeds are going to ripen? Like, how many people, if you're honest, got mad today about something? Did you get, or how about, let's not use mad. How about irritated? Put it in the chat. Did you get a little irritated today? Right? Okay. Okay. So the law of seed ripenings, the priority that things take is that the seeds that are planted closest to a major transition ripen pretty much first. So if you got really irritated today and you just happened to die tonight, the chances of that seed ripening for your next life is very high. Oh, shit. That quieted the room, right? And so that's why we have all these practices and we have the vows, and it's so that we can take what we know and do the best that we can, because we don't know when, right? And that's what the guide of the Bodhisattva's way of life is. How do you live like a Bodhisattva? You have 64 seeds now, right? 64 seeds from the Buddha, right? It's 143 when you break them down in the way that Geshe Michael does, but it's 64 total. But how do you actually live it? That's the whole point. Now that you feel it, and now that you look around at everybody and you're like, we're all doing this, right? In fact, most people aren't even doing this. Most people are buying butt masks. I got the pink one. You know I'm going to buy it and try it out. And I'm going to laugh about it the whole time. And no pictures. No one's going to see those pictures at all. Okay? But part of being a bodhisattva is also being joyful. So maybe you could buy the butt mask with a bodhisattvic intention and use that as a cause for total enlightenment. I want you to figure that one out. Okay, so what are we studying? So first slide, 2 slides from now, Brian. I love this picture, by the way. Next slide. So the text we're studying is called Chanchu Sempe Chupalajukpa. Okay. Pardon me? Hey, hostess, can you give Brian the permission to share his screen? Who has the control? There you go. There's the slide you wanted to look at. Okay. Right, that's the name of the text we're studying. The Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Master Shantideva from about 700 AD. Right. We're going to talk about Master Shantideva in just a second. Actually, I think it's the next slide. Is it? Yes. Okay, so next slide. Who was Master Shantideva? It has 3 builds. You can just put the 3 on. So his name his nickname in the monastery was Busuku. Okay. Mr. 3 Thoughts. Okay. Because nobody thought he was interesting at all. In fact, they thought he only did 3 things: eat, sleep like a cat, and poop. Okay. That's all that this guy did. Right? Everyone thought that he was pretty much a useless monk, right? Just not contributing at all, not doing anything, utilizing Dharma resources inappropriately, right? So the story, I'm going to shorten the story so we can get on with the other content, but everyone remembers that the other monks were like, we're going to punish him. We're going to get him kicked out. So they devised a whole plan for him to really show that he was only Mr. 3 Thoughts. Right? And so they asked him, hey, would you like to teach something? And he was like, me? You want me to teach? And they were like, yeah, you. And he goes, oh, okay. Do you want me to teach something that we know or something new? And they were just like, oh, and like a bunch of teenage boys. They're gonna like, we got this guy. Right? It's like, teach us something new. So the day comes for the teaching. They fill the whole room. And then they make the teaching platform really high. And they don't have the ladder on it, so he can't get up there. And he just walks in, kind of looks around, and the guys in the back, like the 4 guys in the back, like the ones who shouldn't be sitting next to each other because they're always causing trouble. You know the friends, right? I have to, there's a couple friends of mine that we're not allowed to sit next to each other, right? And they're laughing in the back, and then everyone blinks, and all of a sudden, Master Shantideva is sitting on top of the platform. And everyone's like, well, how did he do that? Then he starts speaking, and he starts teaching his guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, right? Brand new thing, they had never heard it. And now all of a sudden everyone was like, yeah, this guy is not who he looked like. And if they say that at the end of the text, when he got to the wisdom chapter on emptiness, he started floating up in the sky, right? Like his body was like floating up. And only the ones who had super hearing could hear him teach that chapter, right? So he basically was like, it's not like that. That's Tim's interpretation. He was like, peace, guys. I'm out of here, right? And he just floats away. And he's like, you all thought I was just Mr. Three Thoughts. I'm going to go do something more important. Peace out. Okay. And eventually they find him and they're like, oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. We didn't know. Can you teach that to us? And he said, there's a copy of it in my room. Go get it. Leave me alone. I mean, I'm sure he didn't say leave me alone, but he's like, I'm doing something else now. Right. So that's what he did is he dedicated himself to his practice, so much so that no one even knew he was practicing. And I think there's a really cool Diamond Way thing in this story, since we're on this topic, right? Like, you don't know who anybody is. You have no idea. And some of the greatest practitioners, you would have zero clue that they're highly realized, including Shantideva. Right? They all just thought he was like just some normal dude not doing anything. Right? Not the case. You don't know who anybody is. So first of all, from a judgment point of view, you can't possibly know. So stop. You see what you see, right? And that's also coming from your karma. But is that the only thing that's there? Maybe, maybe not. And then there's a bodhisattva vow specific about, if I remember correctly, taking the possessions of the meditators and giving them to the recitators, right? The people who look like they're doing practice. Okay. Versus the ones who are meditating who are not looking like they're doing anything, right? And so the idea is you don't know who anybody is, much less Shantideva. So he wrote, so his book has 10 chapters. What are those 10 chapters? We're going to go over those really quickly right now. Next slide, Brian. Is it up on the screen? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in gallery view. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Oh, that looks nice. Tap it once because there's a build. Okay. So chapter 1. Come on, Tim, get your notes up right. I'm sorry. I've been teaching all week long. My brain is fried. Chapter 1 is called The Benefits of Bodhicitta. Okay. You start a book. Usually you start off with why. Why are we doing this? Right? And so that's how we started this class, actually, right? I asked the question, why? Like, why are we doing this? And I didn't realize I did exactly what this paragraph says. So I'm going to read it to you. I didn't plan it. So the first chapter explains that we must increase our joyful energy to the highest, right? We were talking about death. We talked about butt masks, right? We were having a lot of joyful energy in here, right? So then we build that energy by thinking about the benefits that come with enlightenment. Okay. All right. And so this chapter also deals with the aspects of our practice that are for the lower, like the foundational stages, the lower and medium stages of the foundation. Chapter 1 gives you those practices, which is what ACI 8 and 9 are. They're the foundation for the way of a bodhisattva, the guide to the bodhisattva's way of life. So Shantideva is saying in chapter 1, you have to do death meditation. You have to do Vinaya, which is ACI 9, which we're going to be doing here in December. And we're inviting everyone to come, and we're going to give you all the dates soon. So if you want to come for a holiday in Taiwan in December, we're going to be having ACI 9 here. But so Shantideva starts with that foundation, right? Death meditation, Vinaya. And then he says to do the practices to build up your joyful effort, to build up that feeling of joyfulness by simply focusing on the benefits of enlightenment. All right. Next slide. So chapter 2, after you do that, sounds like meditation. First thing we do after that is we purify our negative deeds, right? We have to recognize that we've collected a mountain of negativities throughout our life, including today, when half of you, more than half of you, told me you got irritated, right? And so the way that you go about developing the wish for enlightenment, the very root of love and compassion, is that you acquire the wish by purifying all the things that get in the way of your practice. You purify all of those things. You kind of get fierce with it. Like you have to get not fierce with others. Some of you, it's not about judging other people and their behavior. It's about being fierce with your own negativities and your own negative seeds and purifying those. And there's practices to do that. And we're going to talk about it. Right? Don't worry about all the other assholes in the world. Just worry about yours. Ah, that joke was so good. Oh, anyway, I'm enjoying myself. Right? Just worry about you. Like, don't worry about other people, right? Like, get fierce with yourself. Commit to the battle, right? And that's what we're talking about here. Next slide. Now, once you've purified those deeds, the next thing you do, what do you do in meditation? You confess your bad deeds. What's the next thing you do? Oh my God. Right. You celebrate your good deeds, right? You don't just don't go to battle with your negativities. You also bring your army of goodness with you. because we spend a lot of time focusing on what's wrong and not really spending the time with what's right. And this, when you bring your army of good deeds with you, all of a sudden, all these visuals from movies came into my mind. Like good zombies, right? You know, like they're just like the fast zombies, the ones that run real fast, right? But just imagine that they're just your good deeds. They're coming with you, right? And they're happy and they're not eating everybody, right? Forget about what zombies do, right? But your goodness will eventually just cover everything, right? When you start building that energy, you can't stop it, right? Like when you start pushing that energy behind it, it begins to drown out the negativities. Conversely, if you bring the energy of your negativities behind it, what happens? Same thing. But we're trying to switch our minds. We're trying to like get out of this, mini hell realm of our mind. And this is also where Shantideva begins to teach the first perfection, the art of giving. All right. He kind of builds these things in together. Next slide. The fourth chapter is called Using Carefulness. Once you've developed a wish for enlightenment, is that you have to keep that energy growing, right? And it's fragile, just like this game, Jenga, right? Like you can easily knock over that tower very quickly. And so how do you protect that energy? You protect that energy with the second perfection, the art of an ethical life. Like living with all of those seeds that the Buddha taught us, the Praktimoksha vows, the Bodhisattva vows, when you get the Diamond Way vows as well, right? You kind of like, for me, like I'm like, bring it on. Like, give me more. Like, I want more. I don't want less, you know. But you have to protect that energy. And the way you protect that energy and continue to keep it plugged in is by watching how you treat other people and keeping yourself from falling, which in this case is you can topple that tower very quickly, especially with a lot of anger. Right. All right, chapter 5. I'm sorry, I messed something up here. I didn't quite say it correctly. I apologize. Chapter 5 is dedicated to training yourself in an ethical way of life. Okay. Chapter 4 is developing the awareness to watch yourself, to become aware of, there's a kind of way of like, the way I think about this is, I said it, but I kind of combined chapter 4 and 5 together. The first step is really becoming aware of how fragile that is at first, until you really find the foundation and then structure that. And even when you have that foundation, it can fall apart quickly, but then it builds up quickly again. So chapter 5 is called guarding your awareness. Okay. And you guard your awareness with your ethical way of life. Right. I apologize that I misspoke. Next slide. Not getting angry when you should get angry. This chapter is all about the perfection of patience. A whole chapter on how not to get angry. Why do you think Shantideva, spends an entire chapter on that? Next chapter, number 7. Joyful efforts. He spends a whole chapter on this perfection. I like this old guy. This is me when I'm old. Okay. Like just enjoying the life that I have, right? Here I am old, listening to music, like just dancing. You don't see me sitting in the wheelchair. Still having a good time. To me. Chapter 8. Meditative concentration, right? Whole chapter dedicated to meditation. Chapter 9. Wisdom. This is the chapter where he was like, peace, brothers and sisters, right? And floats away, right? And only some people could hear it. Whether he floated away or not, I think the metaphor is you have to have a tremendous amount of foundation and karma in place to be able to even hear this chapter, to be able to even hear about emptiness, to be interested in it, not falling asleep, right? Those, like, it takes a tremendous amount of good virtue just to even like have the ears to hear, right? And so I think personally, the whole thing about Shantideva floating away, whether he did or not, is about that. Only those who have the kelwa to hear emptiness do, right? And we'll be studying this chapter more in ACI Classics Course 12. That was a hard course to prepare. And then chapter 10 is the dedication, right? Where you learn how to give away to others your own body, your possessions, every good thing you've done. It teaches you how to sweeten the acts of giving through dedication. It's not just give Brian a beauty face mask, because that could be an incredibly good karma with the right dedication, right? Just think about Brian asked for a face mask. You didn't ask why Brian would want a face mask. You just assumed yes. And then you went through the exercise of like, everyone got together, someone went to the store, someone bought it for him, someone brought it to him, right? Up until the moment that he actually didn't want it. I asked him if he put it on. He said, not yet. With your butt and your face at the same time. But like sweeten that giving because you believe that's what he wanted and you genuinely were trying to help him get what you thought he wanted. There were not any bad seeds in that. The only bad seed was the misunderstanding, right, of what the words meant. You see, but like, how do you sweeten your giving? Like, how do you make it more powerful? How do you get those seeds to, really solidify in your mind, right? How do you fertilize them? And then the 10th chapter really focuses on the perfection of giving, really goes deep. All right. And then you have to ask the question, why? Weishama, why does the first perfection get treated in the last chapter when it's the first perfection? And you have to think about that. Like you really, really have to and then wonder, what was Master Shantideva thinking? Like really, what was he thinking? Like, why did he do that? Why? Like, this is what I do. Like, I sit around thinking, well, why? Like, why did the teacher do it that way? Why did the teacher say it that way? Like, why? That's a question you should always be asking, not how you react to what they say, if they said the right thing, if they irritate you or they don't do what you want. Like, if you want to get close to a teacher, do what they ask you to do, even if it's not what you want them to do, want them to ask you to do. Let's try that again. If you want to get close to a teacher, do what they ask you to do, not what you want to do. What if they don't ask me to do anything? It's still asking you to do something. Get it? And then you gotta get into that. You gotta be like, well, why isn't my Lama paying attention to me? Why is my Lama not giving me something? Maybe they are giving you something and you're just not seeing it. That's how you get close to a teacher. Not by demanding, but by planting seeds. Okay. So I'm looking for somebody special. Where are you? I can see you're here. I'll find this picture. This is such an important moment. Okay, are you ready? Tracy, for $100, turn on your microphone and I want you to tell me the secret words.
Semkepani Stunchir Yangdak Sokpe Jangchubde Ndu.
For $100, Tracy McKenzie wins. Congratulations. Next slide, Brian.
Dr. J, thank you.
There we go. Thank you. Tracy, when I see you I think you're coming somewhere in Arizona.
I'll see you there.
I see you there, right? This is the short definition of bodhicitta. Okay. Tracy and I have been working on it for quite a while. Right? The words of Maitreya running around in your mind. The wish for total enlightenment for the benefit of others is bodhicitta. Okay. And I want to talk about this Shendon Cheer for the benefit of others. I want to talk about this really briefly. Right? And I think that when we think of bodhicitta, we think about it as, I have to take care of other people. Deceptive bodhicitta, right? Deceptive reality. I have to take care of the suffering people in the world. True. But if you think about the definition, it's not this obsessive compulsive running around the planet trying to solve everybody's problem. Doesn't mean you're not trying to solve problems. But listen to the definition. The wish to achieve total enlightenment in order to benefit others. Right? Normally we just say for the benefit of others, but the cheer means in order to, right? So there's a kind of thing about like, we have to get there ourselves to really help others. Okay. Of course, we take care of others to get there. Right? That's why you can be a meditator and just have 3 thoughts to everybody else. And you can write one of the greatest books ever in Buddhist literature history. Right? And then you're just like, oh, I'm going to teach about emptiness and I'm going to float away and be like, peace. Right? Like, you see, so I think this doesn't mean that we're being selfish either, but there's an interplay. Okay. There's an interplay between all of these. Right. And you have to think about it. Right. Going into meditation for a month is benefiting others with the right motivation. So what is this There's 5 metaphors that describe the wish for enlightenment, so we can kind of understand it. Next slide. The first thing is that the wish for enlightenment is like, it's like a magic potion. Like, it has this ability to transform this meat, right? This flesh, this rotting flesh that needs butt masks. Do not buy me any butt masks. Do not make offerings of butt masks. It'll be funny if you do, and I'll laugh. Okay. But it has this ability to transform this into the body of a Buddha, right? It's like a magic potion, right? Second, there's this game in the United States, this is called Where's Waldo? I'm sure you have it in other countries as well. Might have a different name. You know, you look at this picture and you're trying to find the one guy. They're all dressed the same, right? And you're trying to find the one guy who's Waldo, right? I don't know. Don't look too hard. I don't know where he is. I think I tried once, right? But what it means is the wish for enlightenment is like a precious jewel that's very difficult to find. But once you find it, it's able to clear away the poverty of living kind. All right? It's difficult to find. And the reason I chose this is because you'll find it and you'll lose it. You'll find it and you'll lose it. Yourself. You will go in and out of it. Right? Until it stabilizes. And it doesn't stabilize really until you see emptiness directly anyhow. Okay. So don't worry. Don't worry if you have a bad day or a bad week or a bad year. Right? It's okay. Hello. All right, the third metaphor, next slide. The wish is like there's 2 types of trees, right? There's evergreen trees, and then there's deciduous trees. Deciduous trees are the ones that in the fall, in the autumn, the leaves turn colors and all the leaves fall off. And then you got to, rake them up in your yard, right? Evergreen trees don't lose their leaves. They keep them all the time. Now, the opposite of what I said in the last metaphor, right, is that the wish doesn't die after bearing fruit the first time. So even if you feel like you may have lost it, or you feel like you just don't, you're just not into it today, right? You're in a bad mood. You're not into being a bodhisattva today, right? That's how I feel some mornings. But it really, once you've committed to it, the seeds continue to grow. The expression of them might be mixed with other things, but it's a thing that keeps growing, right? It grows more and more, like an evergreen tree. Next slide is that it's like a great warrior that's able to protect you from great fear and danger. Okay. What danger are we talking about? Sure, we can say misunderstanding. What danger were we talking about in the beginning of class? The danger of dying and then going to the hell realms, right? Going to a realm where you don't have leisure and fortune at all. Okay. And then the last one, next slide, is the wish is like the fire at the end of the eon of destruction. The fire that consumes all the realms on the planet, right? The sun, supernovas, everything burns, right? Just like that fire, your bodhicitta burns away your bad deeds without any kind of difficulty. All right. And so the question that most people have in this moment is like, I have lots of bad seeds ripening all the time, Tim. How is my bodhicitta burning away all of those bad deeds? How many lifetimes did you have before this one? Countless, bazillions, uninnumerable ones. All right. So just because your bodhicitta you're having a bad day, week, month, year, doesn't mean that those other seeds aren't being purified. All right. And you got to think about that. And we were talking about please, be. Thank you. Right? We were talking about the pen the other day here. And can you guys see me? There's the pen. So when you understand the pen so well, and your bodhicitta gets stronger and stronger and stronger, eventually your understanding of the emptiness of the pen, because it could be a pen or a tutor, right? You then turn that understanding to the self, to me. Like, I have emptiness, just like the pen has emptiness. And it starts intellectually, like maybe right now, maybe you're hearing it for the first time. But your bodhicitta is what's purifying all the seeds so that you get to a place where you can never be reborn in a lower realm again. If you get to Jorlam Se, mastery, which is the third path of the third part of the 4 parts of the path of preparation. then you never have to go see those hell realms again. Guess what you purified? Get it? What did your bodhicitta purify? You can't go to a lower realm ever again. That's how that metaphor works. Meditate on that. Then you won't be so sad anymore. Next slide. Hold on a second. I just said this. I'm going to say it again. All right. You have a decision to make, right? Just like here in the Matrix, right? The red pill or the blue pill. Do you stay in the, I don't remember, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. Like, do you stay in your current life? You stay in the way things are and have been for countless eons, countless great eons, count the numbers, uncountable. Or do you make a choice for something different, right? And that choice creates a kind of unstoppable seed. And that choice is that it creates a karma for your future to be totally pure. Okay. So once you make that choice, irrespective of how messy things get, okay, okay, don't worry. Things are messy. Our realm is messy. You created an unstoppable seed. And you probably had created that a long time ago. You probably created it before, right? And now we're just, step by step, shaving off the crap, right? While we accumulate other crap. And so it's like, we're playing the balancing game. All right, next slide. So when you're thinking about giving, like giving Brian a face mask, okay, who are the beings that you make the highest offering to? Right? The highest objects that Shantideva says is the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, right? Those who have the emptiness, their body, they have perfected their body in the sense of like, they can exist both in the perception of emptiness and then also outside of that in the deceptive world. The Dharma jewel is referring to the direct perception of emptiness, and the Sangha refers to those who have seen emptiness directly, right? Those are the highest objects you can make offerings to. How do you transform the face mask to Brian into the highest offering? Right? We're sitting here saying the highest offering is to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Oh, great. Let's go to a Buddhist temple. There's nothing wrong with going to a Buddhist temple and making offerings. I didn't say that. Don't put that on the internet. Don't quote me. It's already on the internet. Okay. How do you make it real? Okay. Brian needed a face mask. He got a beauty face mask. maybe there's some secret message in that for you, Brian. Maybe this message you need to moisturize more. I don't know. But for the person who gave him the face mask, if the highest object is the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, is that offering of a face mask to Brian just a useless offering? What if, okay, just thinking like this, what if you had a conception that maybe Brian isn't who Brian looks like? You know, Brian's this guy in the back of the room, maybe not feeling so well, running the tech, right? Has all these great qualities, good teacher. Needed a face mask, right? Is it just normal Brian who's asking this question? Or what if it could be somebody else? What if it's, what if Brian is a Buddha emanating as Brian? Brian Buddha, BB. BB. Right? And then you give him a face mask. Are you making an offering to a Buddha? Yes or no? Maybe. Do you ever know if you're making an offering to a Buddha? Has anyone met a Buddha? I mean, did oh, that's nice, Marina, but I don't know. You might see it that way, but I may not be. You don't know if I'm a Buddha. You don't know. I don't know if I'm a Buddha. That's a weird question too. No, but think about it, right? You walk into a temple, a Buddhist temple, and there's a big statue of a Buddha and you make an offering to it. Are you making an offering to a Buddha? I'm going to debate this with you to the end of time, Marina, but we're not going to do it right now. Perceptions aren't truth. They never were. They're just perceptions. But you make an offering to a Buddha statue. Did you make an offering to a Buddha? You made an offering to a representation of a Buddha, right? But Shakyamuni Buddha didn't walk into that temple, right? Right? So like the thing is, like, when you conceive of something in a certain way as a possibility until it becomes the reality, right? But even when it's the reality, it's not the reality that's coming from its own side. There's no Buddha out there on their own. There never was, there never will be. And if you insist that there's a Buddha there, there's something inside your mind that's saying it's self-existent, right? So is Brian a Buddha? I don't know. But what if I treated him that way? And I'm like, this guy is kind of suspicious over here. I'm going to get him a face mask because he asked for one. And then I plant a particular seed. And the seed that I'm planting is incredibly powerful because I'm recognizing that the Brian that I'm seeing doesn't have to be the Brian who's there. The pen that I'm seeing doesn't have to be the pen that's there. Same thing. The you, now here's the most important part. You, the you that you see is there doesn't have to be you. Okay. Could you make an offering to yourself as a, what if I could be a Buddha? Well, there's a whole level of pride and arrogance you're going to have to deal with if you think like that, Janet. But, but pride and arrogance aside, ego aside, I mean the ego like the meanness aside, right? Who could you be if you had different seeds? Who could you be? Right? Who could you, and that's the, who are you making an offering to? That's the question. Were you ever making offering to Brian? If you misunderstood Brian, there was never a Brian there to give anything to in the first place. Whether he was sick or needed moisturized face, didn't matter. Right? This is what Shantideva teaches us. So when we're giving, right? When we're giving, what are we giving to? When we're taking care of others, when we're observing our vows, when we're watching our behavior, good, bad, ugly, right? When we're supporting others, what are we supporting? You know, yes, Brian needs a face mask because he's not feeling well and he wants to protect everyone. Let's go get him a face mask. Yes, we should. But if you thought there was a Brian there who self-existently needed a face mask, you didn't ever give Brian a face mask. You never did. He's not there. Not there. Oh, but Brian's a Buddha appearing as Brian. Oh, so Brian's a self-existent Buddha emanating as Brian? And I give Brian a face mask? I'm still wrong about who Brian is. Now, the seed that you're planting is very different, okay? While that seed is still kind of swimming around in ignorance and misunderstanding, you're using the misunderstanding against itself to eventually grow into wisdom. But if you can give with eyes that don't see anything, right? Understand that there is no Brian, there is no Buddha, there's no one there except what my seeds are projecting, right? And the possibility of what that could be, and then I give him something, and there's no face mask to give him because the face mask is empty too. And there's no me that gives either. I'm not me from my own side. Peace, guys. Shantideva flies away, right? It's hard, it's difficult. But then as soon as we start moving into that realm, then your seeds really just start lighting up. Oh my God, I'm not going to finish this class at all. All right, let's go to the next slide and then we'll stop here. And this is a perfect slide to stop with. Okay. What is this slide about? This slide is about you misunderstanding the world. You think the person who pissed you off today or made you irritated, they made you irritated They did something irritating to me. And then you get mad, and then you have road rage, right? My version of road rage is what I look like when I have road rage. Okay. And this is what we mean by taking refuge in the three jewels, right? Is that we constantly have to reassert our belief in the perception of emptiness. We constantly have to remind ourselves, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty. And then you think emptiness, it doesn't have emptiness. It's like, fuck, excuse me. It sounds nearly impossible. But just small steps every single day to remind yourself, where is it coming from? There is no Brian out there that needs a face mask from his own side, right? There is no jerk who cuts me off in traffic and I have to yell at them and tell them why they're idiots and I use colorful language in the car that they can't even hear me. I have my music blaring, windows up. They cut me off and I start yelling at them and they don't even hear me. It's the best metaphor. I'm sorry, translators. It's the best metaphor for our misunderstanding. Road rage. They can't even hear you anyway. I mean, you can honk the horn, but that's not my story today. Right? How mad have I gotten in the car with those asshole drivers? And they didn't even know I was mad. They couldn't even hear me. And I don't even know why they did what they did. You see? Because just like everything else, it's just a projection. I saw someone driving unsafe. I saw someone doing something jerky, inappropriate, and I got mad at it. What am I getting mad at? I'm getting mad at my past self who did that to other people. That's all. Get mad at yourself. Great. That's smart. Right? You know, but that's what we do, right? And so we have to reassert constantly over and over and over again. Where it's coming from. Even, okay, look, I know I was a little rough on Marina just a couple minutes ago because it's a good seed to see someone in a certain way. And to see someone as a, you know, in a highway is like, not a highway driving, but in a, you know, someone in an elevated spiritual way, right? It's a good seed to have that. But you have to remember, you have to apply your emptiness to that too, because otherwise then it's not a good seed. And that's a very, very delicate thing to say, because that seed is dressed in misunderstanding, and you're uploading more misunderstanding into your fuel tank, right? Now you're putting some cool, good seeds in there that will hopefully counteract that. And that's what we're doing because we're constantly uploading things with misunderstanding. And so we're using the matrix against the matrix. Okay. Because since we don't see things correctly, we're automatically stuck in it. But we're trying to see it the opposite way. And the way that we see it opposite is through seeds of misunderstanding. But they kind of counteract each other and then blossom into these moments of wisdom. Okay. So Shantideva is like on fire. Okay. Like he's basically saying, look, you're bodhicitta. Load it up, wrap it in emptiness, wrap it in the wisdom, say the words over and over again. Keep repeating the mantra. Where is it coming from? Why do I have to see this? Why do I have to see saying a good thing and then my teacher criticizing me when it should be a celebrated thing? Why do I have the seeds to see that? I don't have any idea. But you have them. So then you do this with the practices. 4 powers, plant new seeds. 4 powers, plant new seeds. 4 powers, plant new seeds. Literally, it gets boring. It's the same thing every day. And Rinpoche called it same shit, new packaging. Okay. But it gets fun. It gets more and more fun. Like, how enjoyable is it to like find the secret message in butt masks? Like, why do I have to see this in my world? I don't know. But it's hysterical. And so with that, let's take a 20-minute break. 23-minute break. We'll come back and we'll continue on with the rest of these classes. All right. Thank you, tech team. Thank you, translators. See you in a few minutes.
Rồi, cảm ơn.
I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone.